Are you paying attention, everybody? This podcast was created to proliferate common sense takes regarding politics, religion, healthcare, current events, conspiracies, and whatever other topics you've been told to never mention at the dinner table. The purpose? To enlighten our fellow citizens of the propaganda being pushed in this polarizing time period in the never-ending battle for your soul. This podcast is not aligned with any sect, denomination, politics, organizations, or institution. We do wish to engage in every controversy under the sun without endorsements or oppositions to any causes. We are the four discoursemen: TJ, Greg Hugh, Pastor Benny, and me. Artie, the one-man party. Thanks for your time, energy, and of course, attention.
What do we do as far as limiting hate speech and all that stuff, right? Now that we've seen the playing field and the playbook, what's the solution?
Oh,
Is there
well,
one?
we have a perfect solution. It's called libertarianism. You localize the power
Mhm.
as close to the individual as possible, because then you diversify your influence, and then it's way harder for one interest to take over the entire narrative, as they have been doing, because they had a monopoly on media for such a long time.
Hey,
Yeah, that's the ideal. I mean, the immediate thing we can do is just acknowledge that there's no such thing as hate speech. It's just speech. And it's only hate speech if the people in power don't like it. And the people in power are going to change, which means the definition of hate speech is going to change, because there is no hate speech. It's just speech.
so
Exactly, yeah.
if it talks about violence, though, right?
In calling, explicitly calling for violence is already illegal.
They do it all the time, though, in Congress, right? Trump must be eliminated. Blah blah blah. There's
But
lots of
they'll tell you that they're talking about politically. They're not talking about, they'll not acknowledge that they're talking about they want him assassinated, which I'm sure many of them do. That, when they say they're talking about they want him eliminated, they're talking about him politically, is what they'll
I mean,
do.
Yeah, like
Put him in
that's mob
crosshairs.
speech. You just say it, you phrase it a different way. It's like, hey, we're gonna take care of him. Don't worry about it, kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like the text, we'll stop them, right? With the Peter Strzok, we'll
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. So, are you gonna turn to libertarianism now?
I need more evidence of it. But the local chapter, when you first mention it, I kind of think like Bitcoin, right? So I'm understanding Bitcoin now as an alternative currency. Now they've also tried to make decentralized, but now they have like these stable coins and stuff. So I'd have to understand. Great theory. I'm not a theorist. I'm more like a realist. So if you have everyone talking different local stuff, how do you get that harmony though? That's what I want. I want everyone on the same page ultimately. If I had an ideal, that's it. We all want to be Eagle fans, or we all want to be American fans. We all want to be, how do we get everybody on the same page? That's heaven, in my opinion. When people die, you get these near death experiences. They get hit with this, they say, immediate sense of love. Like they get overwhelmed. They don't want to go back to this life. They actually want to go wherever they're going. How do we get that? Okay. I don't see it locally being able to get that. You understand? I'm into the leader moving the mass to him, like Jesus did, or other stuff like that. You understand? That's where I'm trying to get it. But what we have now, okay, I'm get rid of. I'm the two-party system, all that stuff. But I want it. I want it. Obviously, the goal to be all of us on the same page. Let's communicate. How do we all communicate together? If you're in Texas and Texas is on one page, and then you have New York in another page, that's that's the opposite. I mean, Lincoln went to war to save the Union, right?
Yeah.
But you're suggesting to me, first thought is the opposite. It's like states' rights. Everyone on their own.
So This is how the free market, I guess the simple way, everyone's going to have their choice. They're going to choose their best option. You can show what the best option is based on the fruits of its implementation. So say you have cell phones, you have Android, Samsung would be great. That's the perfect option for them. They do whatever they want. It's very efficient. For other people, maybe it's Apple that they enjoy. That is best for my situation. So you have those two options and they compete with each other. So Samsung creates something, Apple comes back and they recreate it. If you only had one option where they were like, "Oh yeah, Apple's the best," they're not going to get better.
But isn't that the two-party system we have now? Republican and Democrat? And I'm just taking what was said in this episode. Greg Hewitt said, or I think you had said that we're dumb and we need the oligarchy anyway. So if everyone has their own choice and they're not educated or something, right? Isn't that also a recipe for
No,
disaster?
that's not the answer. The answer is that you elect people like Thomas Massey who can represent you in the halls of Congress, and you can trust him to represent his constituents and not be bought by lobbies of other countries.
But you've said in the past you don't trust government. Now all of a sudden Massey's Jesus.
No, I don't. I generally don't trust government, but it's because the people we put into government. If our
But that's
government was filled with Thomas Masseys, we'd be a shining beacon like we were supposed to be. You think an entire Congress of Thomas Masseys would be bad?
I'm not impressed with the guy. That's all I'll say at this point. I don't know enough about him.
Fair
Okay.
enough.
You've been
You're
talking
an
a lot about it
open-minded.
for a few months, so
If he's a
I'm
true
surprised.
leader, he'll win. If he's a true leader, let the market decide. Let him get 51% of the population. Let him create the movement. The movement of libertarians has not got to a swell. So there's got to be a reason for that. It's not my
It's because
decision.
it's because
It's the market.
we're casting pearls to swine. That's why it's not catching on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Something promising has happened since September 10th. 54,000 inquiries for TPUSA, new chapter.
I did hear that. I
Yeah,
did hear that.
that's Charlie
I would
would
say
be
another
talking
thing
about that.
with localization too. If you have like building code and you have someone in Minnesota trying to build a building with whatever soil and their weather, a lot of snow, do you think they should use the same codes as they do in the swamps of Florida?
Of course not.
Then why do you want one person creating the standard for both of those things? That's basically what you're asking for.
Absolutely not. Everyone has their own state codes. Codes are not. There's no national code for building.
There's the international building code, but yeah, it's there's local codes. Yeah, basically. So you're gonna trust someone who lives in Miami to build something in Miami than someone who lives in Minneapolis to build a house in Miami. Correct? Who would you have the most trust? All things fair, same experience, same education.
Well, I believe in meritocracy, right? The best people make the decisions, right? We elect the best people, whatever it be, if it's the school board, if it's this or that, and have them decide. I'm not, building, right? That's part of your expertise. I don't. The analogy doesn't hold water with me if it's local. We have local building codes, all right? I don't see that as far as the whole the whole country is one national code, right? Now we have a national bill of rights, right? We have a constitution, right? That everyone here will agree that is, the Bible here. So that's something you need. You need a constitution. You need something, you need, Pastor Benny would say, morality, which comes from God. You need that ultimate higher power. Okay. If you don't have the higher power and you're going local, then Satan's, your buddy, in my opinion. You need a higher power where everyone can agree on this, at least. Like you're trying to get me right now to say this and analogy and this and that. Yeah. You're trying to build it down to something simple where we all can agree with. Without that main vein to God or to the Constitution, you have nothing.
Yeah, with this localization, I fear this. Like certain towns and cities in Minnesota and in Texas, where the population of Muslims is a lot, they want to take over the towns and they want to implement Sharia law. Now, they say, oh, we know the neighborhood here. We all like Sharia law. Then can, in certain areas, these kind of laws can be implemented and have a total different identity than what the United States has? That would look really odd. Like in certain parts, you a Christian cannot walk in, or somebody doesn't. If you implement Sharia law in that neighborhood, let's forget the freedom of speech, forget everything. That neighborhood will look like a different country altogether.
As long as it doesn't violate other people's rights and everyone agrees on it, then that's what it is. If you push out the
No,
people, if you don't want to move there, you don't have to move there.
no.
Yeah, until
But
they
then,
build up enough of a people, and then they go attack the other people who they have more numbers
When has that happened?
all the time,
Tell me a place where
everywhere, everywhere.
they
Any
took over.
Dearborn,
people who don't agree
Dearborn,
on
Michigan.
war happens.
What did the
Dearborn,
people of
Michigan has
Dearborn?
Said you're
Did
in
the
history.
people of Dearborn attack Michigan and try to take over
no.
the capital?
Now the Christians can't go there in Dearborn, Michigan.
Did you guys see this video of the mayor? This recent video.
Uh,
This guy goes to like a town hall, city hall meeting, and the mayor basically tells him, the mayor's a Muslim mayor, basically says
right.
that you're an Islamophobe and you're no longer welcome in this city. And when you leave the city, I'm going to throw a parade to celebrate you leaving the city. That was the mayor said that.
Yeah, exactly. He did say that. I saw that. Good point.
That's crazy.
About
TJ was
who?
asking for his taxi.
He said that about it was a citizen who was asking questions. Apparently, they wanted to rename a street after a Muslim person who was a vocal supporter of Hezbollah and Hamas. And this citizen said he went to complain and said, "I don't think this is a good idea to rename the street after someone who supports these terrorist organizations." And the mayor called him a Islamophobe and said, "They'll throw a parade when you move out of this city."
Yeah, you might as well give TJ the zip code. He might be looking on Zillow now to go buy a home there. Check the property value.
Is the property value probably dropped?
It did. It definitely did.
But
And that's the consequence. So
Right.
Yeah.
maybe they'll slowly get back to where they should be, or other cities will see that, be like, oh, maybe that's not the way to go, because now my property value went from 500 to 300 and I'm upside down on my mortgage.
that's why my friend left his house in Dixville. As soon as a couple of mosques moved in, he like, I'm out of here. He went south.
That's his right.
He knew.
And that's his right.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but that's not good. That's like that's why I like this Singapore's president. That guy was amazing. If you get time, make sure you look up on that guy. He was good. He made sure there's always percentage of people. The society has to always be balanced. Otherwise, United States of America will become United Countries of America, because all these countries will be represented within instead of
Oh, that
being
would be great.
no, that won't be great.
That would be great.
Then I'm going to stand in line with Elon and say, hey, Elon, when are you taking me to Mars?
Well, then people from California and Oregon don't have to tell me what to do in Texas.
Yeah.
They don't have to. You're in Texas. They don't have to tell you what to do.
They do.
So, how?
It's called Congress.
No, it's called the Constitution, right? You have a House of Representatives with a population, and you still have state rights. Texas is people are moving from California to Texas. So eventually, if we're playing that, the 1,000 paper cuts and you're playing the long game, it'll work itself out. Hopefully. But like I said, the devil's job is to create lies, steal, destroy. And when we are off the same page, when we're talking locality, we're saying we're not trying to get a common denominator. I say that common denominator should be Jesus. But if we don't have some type of moral code where we all can agree on something, that's what Charlie Kirk was all about. If we stop communicating, then only thing left is violence. So, like I keep
Yeah.
saying, how is that avoiding a civil war? How do we avoid a civil war? Is it inevitable? The people who don't agree with Trump or don't agree, I mean, if you're literally cheering Charlie Kirk and I mean, hate Charlie Kirk or celebrating his death, but you're cheering for George Floyd, is that divide? Can that ever be helped? Can we ever mend the fences there?
Well, the thing you're saying is you want everyone to follow Jesus, and that has to be
That's my
an
example
organic
of
thing.
common
You
ground.
can't
Yes.
use coercion to show people Jesus, because that's not what Jesus was about.
What do you mean by coercion? If I speak the gospel to somebody and then have a spiritual
You're
awakening,
talking about
I'm not. No, I'm talking about.
creating a Christian ethno state and forcing pretty much your version of God's will on everybody.
I'm not forcing anyone. I'm having a communication. That's what this podcast is. We're talking about it. You make your
Well,
up
that's
your
what
own.
you're. Well, that's what you're saying when you say, "Oh, we need to come together and be under Jesus in one happy government."
What I'm saying is when TJ Watt gets a sack in the Steeler game and 50,000 people cheer, right? That's what I want.
I like the two
I say
times
the
that he
closest thing
beat,
to that I know of, other than being a fanatic of a sports team, is that man.
like the two times he
Hey,
beat your man in the game and got two
I'm sorry.
sacks, but then they didn't count it against him.
Well, the sacks counted. He just wasn't
No, they said
responsive.
it.
That's
All
all.
right.
Sacks.
Who was blocking him? Who was blocking PJ
The
Watt
guys.
on the?
I don't want to go down that route, right? Because you're losing this local nonsense.
All right.
I want common ground, whether it be in this podcast, but ultimately throughout the United States. Make America great again. That is ultimately the thread. We want everybody on the same page. We want at least something where everyone can get behind. Like, right? Unfortunately, when 9/11 happened, that probably was the most united this country's ever been. It's sad to say. When we got attacked like that and all those people died, that everybody was like 80% approval in the country. Now it's getting worse. Turning point? That might be it. Maybe now. Pastor Benny had mentioned there's a lot of
Yeah.
chapters growing. I'm sorry that the turning point movement is blowing past the libertarian movement. Maybe try to recruit him. Try to get the Erica Kirk on your page. That's who you want to speak to. Send her a tweet or something. But my point being is, how do we get there? That's the goal. I don't want to go further and further down the weeds local yet. Maybe certain things. But as far as how do we get everybody on the same page? Is there a way, or is civil war going to happen?
No, we don't want to. We don't want to. We don't want to be on the same page. That's why we're separated by states.
Well, first
No.
of all,
We
Artie, to
want
your point,
Yeah.
how do we prevent this from happening? Is you stop importing people who don't believe in the fundamental values of America, right?
Yes.
Liberty, freedom, a justice system. The fundamental things that keep our society different and keep our society together, and the things that are unique and why we are so different from everyone else. We are importing people that hate those things. So those things are going to be destroyed by the people inside our country.
Yes, 1,000%. That's a start. 1,000%. So you would say that the principles of the Constitution, life,
Yes, absolutely.
liberty, pursuit of happiness. Don't
Sure.
come in here and we would all agree liberal, if we go by the word, means change. So a lot of liberals want to change, or they want to change the Constitution by definition. Agreed?
It's true to some
Right.
extent. Yeah.
I mean, that's what a liberal means. Change. I'm saying. So if you're trying to change, they want to change something about it. They think the America history or certain things need to be changed. I mean, they promote free open borders, right? They promote. They want a lower class of people, a poverty level, right? So then you get stuck on their programs, and then you continually keep them in power.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
mean, that's why. I mean,
That's
one
why.
of the
That's why with the libertarian theory of there's could be open borders. There's two caveats with that. The first one being in a libertarian world, there wouldn't be these handouts or incentives for people to come. And the second part is
Right.
most of the pretty much all the land would be privately owned. So if they were to come in, they'd be trespassing on somebody. They would need to be invited in to somebody else's property. That's as open as it gets.
Yeah.
So legal immigration.
Right. You have a friend from Guatemala and you're like, hey, come on over. You can stay at my house and until you get a job and you can buy a house. That's great. You can do that. But
when you
the
say
way
that,
the open borders work here is here, come into our country, figure it out. Here's some money and a phone.
right, and it creates entitlement.
Right.
lot of
And then they're
people here,
affecting
they're
other
entitled.
people. Yeah. It's just
They're
not
not-
affecting them, so they don't care.
To
Or
be,
it is.
to be
but
clear,
not-
TJ isn't describing the agreed upon libertarian border policy, but certainly a prominent wing of the libertarian
Yeah.
thought regarding border policy. I think some libertarians are becoming a little bit harder line border people.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably split 50-50. Well,
Yeah.
especially I'm in Texas, so we have a big border. So we probably are a little more towards the 70-30 on that aspect. But
I
it
imagine.
does fall under the point where there is private property anywhere. So if someone's jumping the border, they're jumping into someone's land.
For sure.
And then they're trespassing. And then whatever happens.
Right. Unfortunately, as you alluded to, our federal government, I think, owns 30% of the land in our country. We should ask why.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue.
And China owns the other 30%.
Yeah.
Right. And then we're stuck with nothing.
In closing, we are the four discoursmen: TJ, Greg Hugh, Pastor Benny, and me. Artie, the one-man party. I want to say the mainstream media is dead, entertainment purposes only, and thanks for your time, energy, and of course, attention.